Hey guys, so here I am making some little anvils. These things are going to be pretty awesome, so I'll show you what I got going on here. Okay, so I've had some 4140 HTSR, heat treated stress release, turned down on a lathe to this cone shape for the horn. I've got 8 of these cut out of 2.5 inch mild steel, regular mild steel. This faceplate that I have here is called Uddeholm Viking tool steel. Yeah, the grade is Viking. It's kind of an odd stuff to find, but I'm going to be using that for the face. So that will actually be spaced off of here and welded on with a stick welder. And here I've got the horn, but in order to make it, as you can see, in order to make it stick up like a regular anvil horn, I'm going to have to cut that at an angle. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I've got a little AC stick welder. I've just temporarily tacked this little piece of tubing onto here so that my ground clamp has something to hold. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld these 2 pieces together, like just tack them together so that I actually can clamp them in the chop saw, so I can cut that back part off on an angle. Because just like this, I won't be able to clamp it. So I'll tack those together. I've got the cutoff saw set up to the desired angle and tightened in. So here we go. I had a bit of an issue with the piece slipping out of the cutoff saw clamp, so decided what I'm going to do is go on the safe side and weld it into this piece of tubing and then finish my cut, because that way with the square tubing it can't spin or go anywhere. So now that the horn's cut like that on an angle, I'm just going to weld it onto the anvil here. Well, actually just tack it on for now, because I'm going to do some filling in with some railspec rod, which I'll show you in a second. Hold up a little bit there, but I think that'll be okay. That looks pretty good. That gives me a nice gap to fill in with that railspec rod that I was talking about. So I'll show you that. So this stuff's called railspec. It's 1/8 diameter. I don't know if you can see that here, but it's yeah, it's a build-up rod. And it can be forged afterwards too. Yeah, it says somewhere here that it's forgeable. It's sort of a medium hardness, so it'll be good for filling in these spots. I'm going to try and get it down inside there a little bit. Chip out some of that slag and give it another little pass. Just gonna get a piece of flat bar so I can hit that slag over there. Take the old wire brush to it. Get in there and do some more. So, don't use cheap discs. This one just blew up right when I finished that cut, but luckily I had these and a face shield on. So yeah, I felt it hit the face shield, but watch out for cutting discs. You want to spend the money and get better ones, because this was just a cheap one that I had lying around. Yeah, and it blew up. I wasn't even pressing hard on it or anything. So I'm going to fill that in with weld and grind this whole thing smooth here. Managed to get it down in there a little bit too with that one. I'm running the machine almost cranked. It's just a little 230 amp machine, but it'll get the job done for this. So I'm going to chip that slag out of there, give it more of a full weld. So I'll show you guys when I put the face on and stuff. So for putting those little flat bar pieces on the edges here, it's just mild steel, so I'm going to weld it with my MIG welder, but I need this to be really nice and flat across here. So what I've done is put these magnets up, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack it at either end, so here and on the other end first, so that it can't pull this way or this way. So go ahead and do that. I've got that tacked up. I want to do the first few extra tacks on the underside, just so if anything it pulls this way a little bit, because I'd rather not have these flare up on the edges afterwards. So do some more sort of hot tacks here. So I'll grind those welds out after, and it'll give it a nice little bit of a taper. So what I've done here with the face is I've used a little piece of 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch square bar, and I'm putting the face on like this. So I'll get that all squared up there, and then I'm going to use that railspec rod and put it in here, basically weld from the center out. So it'll go in like that, and I'll be able to weld all the way back and forth, and I'll keep doing that until I get to the outside edge. That way this face will be welded almost all the way through, aside from this little 1/2 inch part, but like it'll be almost like a solid piece. So it'll make the anvil a little more durable, make it last quite a few more years. Yeah, so I'll show you that. So this gives you an idea of what we're doing. So basically this rod is going to go in here and just keep welding and doing pass after pass after pass until that's completely filled in. And it'll be like one solid piece. Technically I could use my TIG welder. It'd probably be a little bit easier, but I just don't have a stick attachment on there right now. But yeah, with this welding rod it's kind of hard to use. It's not too bad, but it would definitely be easier with that thing. I'm just using this cheap little thing. This will work for you though if you're doing it this way. Almost there. I'll do one across the front here. So I finished that off with a nice big pass of MIG. Nice and thick. So I'm going to grind that all off and sort of make this thing look pretty. Grind this thing like crazy. Have to warn you, if you don't have a very good grinder, you'll probably burn it out. Like, I bet you after 10 more minutes of grinding, this thing's gonna be done and smoking. So yeah, definitely get yourself a good brand of grinder. Milwaukee's really good, so yeah, this one not so much. So this Viking tool steel I used on the top, I'm sure it lost a little bit of its hardness. Probably lost a little bit of its hardness from all that weld in there. That really heated it up quite a bit, but still has a little bit of ring to it. So I might still heat treat it. But overall, I think it turned out pretty nice. Be nice to get that weld out of there. Yeah, nice solid chunk of steel. Let's figure out how much it weighs. So this little anvil ended up weighing a whopping 25 pounds. There's the finished product with the with that weld cut out of there. So it's nice and clean. Perfect little 25-pound anvil. And this would be okay for someone who's just making small knives, or maybe like even a jeweler, perhaps, because this tapers down nice and even. Anyways, thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more builds. As you can see, I've still got all these anvils to build too. And there's going to be more coming. I'm actually going to make a big giant one too that's sort of in progress, so I will show you guys that soon too. Thanks very much. Be sure to subscribe.